Boom, we're back. Welcome to another Buck Live. Welcome everybody to another Buck Live stream. My name is Jade, Yurich, your host. Very happy to be here. Shout out to Amy Dory today. It is her birthday. And just wanted to shout out Amy for being a wonderful Buck Live stream guest. Back in April, we learned some wonderful PR tips from her and some behind the scenes stories and experiences of what it's been like for her in the entertainment industry. And it was just super cool. Today we have a very awesome guest joining us. She's one of the pivotal members of the Buck fam and is our head of scripted development. So Emma is a fastidious producer and development executive with a passion for out-of-the-box storytelling. Fleury Harvey is a unique hybrid content creator, developing in both the scripted and unscripted worlds. Her passion has always been the pursuit of commercially viable shows that people love, featuring bold characters and their unparalleled stories. Emma is proud to have had an all-encompassing hands-on education in development, distribution, and production while working at some of the most respected content houses across Canada and the US. Emma is a proud alumnus of the Canadian Film Centre's prestigious Cineplex Entertainment Producers Lab. Her script, Georgia Pie, was selected to participate in the Toronto International Film Festival Producers Lab. She's also the proud recipient of the Crystal Awards Business of Broadcasting Mentorship Award. In her spare time, Emma can be diligently found reading scripts while hiding under her 1-year-old's crib as he protests sleep. Or she could be found cursing the creators of Lego as she undoubtedly just stepped on a piece. So excited to get the chance to talk with Emma tonight on the day-to-day of development life and what it takes to get a project made. Feel free to use the question part of this app to ask anything you want to know. You might be able to glean some gold nuggets of wisdom. So I think without further ado, let's bring Emma Fleury Harvey into the Buck live stream. Welcome, Emma! Oh, did it work? It worked. Okay, she's here. Hey!
Hi!
How are
Evening.
you?
How are you? Nice to see you. Happy New Year.
Nice to see you too. Happy New Year to you as well, and Happy New Year to your family,
Thank
and just
you.
just to everybody in your life. How's it going? How are you?
Going really well. Also, I wanted to shout out to Amy. Happy birthday as well. She is a big piece of our Buck fam, so saw that and haven't had a chance to wish her happy birthday yet. But yeah, we're doing great here. We are chugging along. For those of you who don't know me, I have a 1-year-old, and all you parents out there, you withheld from me. You withheld, here I was just thinking, oh, baby's going to sleep 12 hours a day and, he's going to have happy little naps. And, he is a bucket of energy and I wouldn't change it for the world. But like, man, parenthood is challenging. So loving that, but we're also having so much fun. My husband, Jeff, and we take on a lot of interior home projects. He's a custom home builder. So we've been doing that during COVID, taking advantage of the opportunity to actually do one of our passions, which is, build homes and design homes. So we've been doing that and, just trying to stay safe and creative and happy and positive during all of this. How have you been?
Yeah, I'm good. I mean, I was just curious how your snow removal experience has gone so far.
I will say that Jeff was the hero of that equation, and he did the laneway. Like my husband is the type of guy that will even shovel other people's driveway, and walked out, and all of the cars were brushed off. Like he's just that human, and I wish that I could be like that. I'm not as nice as him, but I will admit I did not have to do any snow removal.
Well, I think, we all kind of have come to the agreement that your husband, Jeff, is the best. He's helped us out with some Bespokeville live streams, and he's been part of some of the content we've created over there. So I'm sure we'll have many opportunities to give Jeff some shout outs during this live stream.
Oh, please do. And I will. I will.
How have you and your family been keeping busy during this time, COVID?
So, I've been, it was funny. I left work March, we left the offices, not work, but left the offices March 2020. In that time, I didn't know I was pregnant, but I was pregnant. And
Right.
mat leave October 2020. And then had a year of maternity leave and got back in October 2021. So, my entire team never saw me pregnant. We were just, no one was in the actual physical office. We were all working from home, busting our balls at home. And it was incredible to, witness the volume of work that we were all able to do. So being back at the office and, back with the team, has been a huge focus during this period of COVID. But like I mentioned, Jeff and especially during maternity leave, I was able to take on a lot of the design portions of our projects. You can check us out at Harvey Home Rental. We post all of our befores and afters there. And Jeff has his own build firm, which is at Harvey Interiors, and you can see all of his amazing projects there. So home design is definitely a passion of mine. We're going to get to that a bit. But basically it's been, a lot of learning how to be a mom, a lot of design and home kind of projects and content. Also just keeping abreast of the trades, creating awesome projects, meeting with awesome, writers, directors, and filmmakers, and, just trying to stay positive for not only my family, but other families, because I know there's a lot of things.
You speak a lot about, I guess, the endeavors that you and Jeff take on together as a team. I'm just kind of curious about what it takes to work as partners and to have a balance in life and recreation when you both are super hardworking people. So when are you able to turn it off, if at any point?
That is more challenging. The turn off is the more challenging aspect of all of that. But we were having a great chat today, and I think a lot of working together as partners is about sharing gratitude. We have like amazing strengths together. We have amazing individual strengths, and able to communicate with him not only on a professional level when we're working together, but as a husband unit, and saying, hey, I'm volleying this ball to you, and that ball may be a 1-year-old. I'm volleying it to you. I need your help for that. And having him say, no problem, I've got this. It works very much the same way professionally. We apply for permits together. So sometimes like I'm better with the administrative stuff because I have production experience. So I'm doing permit application, and obviously his eye for space layout and all of those kind of more technical parts of design that I'm not necessarily with the day to day. I volley back to him, and it's really about communicating and about recognizing and reading your partner when you really need their help, and being able to recognize it and being able to say, okay, I got this, I'll take this off your plate.
Yeah, he said what balance, but there does have to be a conversation about some sort of balance.
Yeah.
I got a few icebreaker questions sort of based off inside the actor's studio. You were an actor at one point, and I'm sure still can do it. So very James Lipton. What is your favorite word?
My favorite word, cantankerous.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's the definition?
It's
Use it in a sentence.
abrasive, kind of abrasive, rude, unlikable. He was a cantankerous personality. Fastidious, which is why it was in my bio that you so aptly read. I like big words, but I used to like those Rolodexes that you'd read them, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of, I give that credit for cantankerous and fastidious.
Nice. Shout out the Rolodex. What is your least favorite word?
Moist.
So that's a popular one. That is a popular
Yeah.
one. What is your favorite movie?
Oh, my favorite movie. Honestly, like one that I could watch over and over again would probably be Life is Beautiful. Roberto Benigni film. I really have memories of it as a child. I really like Girl Interrupted. That was like the first film that I really felt, women were portrayed in what I think is an authentic way, and it was a female all-star cast, and and I just remember being deeply affected by the fact that like it was just mostly women. And 13, I think I was so impressed by Nikki Reed and the fact that he helped write this with Catherine Hardwicke and like, and again, another female writer director combo. I think that those would probably be my faves.
Great selections. What is your favorite song?
That one's a hard one. I love anything by Miguel. I could listen to that over and over again. I'm admittedly a huge Mariah Carey fan. Um,
Nice. That
so
range, though. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, definitely that range though. So I would say like I could listen to any of her songs over and over again. I would say probably it would probably be a Miguel song. Lauryn Hill, The X Factor. You know what? I would say probably Lauryn Hill, The X Factor. Now that I think of it.
Very good, very good. Great answers once again. What sound or noise do you hate?
Anything with styrofoam or cotton when it's like rubbing against your fingers.
And then what sound or noise do you love?
The sound of my baby laughing at my husband. It's like
Nice.
a drug, literally a drug.
Nice. Well, I think it's good to transition now to, as we're sort of talking in the pop culture vein about blogs, television shows, movies, books that you've been reading, watching, but anything that you can talk about in terms of sort of great resources you've been kind of going back to in regards to the media consumption that you've been doing.
Okay. WandaVision at the recommendation of Jimmy Ju. I
Nice.
like believe I was born in another time period. Like 50s is my jam. So right away I was like, what is this? And
Right.
like I was so impressed that, that kind of show was able to be made.
Right.
Specifically because it's so unconventional and like the first 3 episodes are literally like another television show from another time and you're like, what is the shtick here? So that has been super impressive to me. Boy Island, because I wonder how that show ever got made, and I really regret that I wasn't the one to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That just, if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's insanity, and watch it till the end because you're just going to be shocked.
Right.
Guilty pleasure, Emily in Paris. I love fashion, passion of mine. So just seeing her outfit, it's definitely a guilty pleasure. I
Mhm.
have problems with it, but I think it's incredibly visual. So I love that. And as far as what I'm consuming other than television, we are doing a lot of amazing scripted work with some fabulous writers. Susan Rogers has a series called The Drifters that we're working on, which is fabulous, incredible. We've got Great God Pan, our team. I'm seeing some of our team members showing up there. That's a great piece of, IP that we're so proud of and working on diligently to get made. And I'm not going to lie, Jade, I read a heck of a lot of, I sometimes read 3 to 4 scripts a day. So it's, kind of what I do for fun, but also, I think it's so important to be on the breast of, writing and who's writing what. And, good writing really speaks volumes. And the more scripts you read, the quicker you can recognize, the quicker you can recognize, good writing from bad writing
Yep.
or writing that could serve to be improved. Because I don't want to say anything is bad, it's just there's room for improvement. And, and I think, one of the most valuable things I've done in my role at Buck as, in the scripted department is I did a blitz of 100 calls on a outreach on the Inkies page on Facebook. And I think it has like 9,000 members. And I just said, as kind of getting me back into the swing of things, I would love to put myself out there to offer up a conversation to anyone who's interested development or wants to talk to me about scripts, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, I'll answer every email that I get. And literally within seconds of posting, I had one after the other after the other. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I got 100 emails and I was like, okay, well, go big or go home. So I'm going to commit to this. And so I scheduled 100 15-minute meetings over 5 days. And
Mhm.
and essentially, booked them all, did them all, and then offered to writers, that I would read a 5-page excerpt of their scripts. And then from there, if I liked the script, I would ask for the full pilot.
Right.
And I'm happy to say we've signed on several projects from that place. So that was really, really awesome.
2 questions. So to start with sort of what we were first talking about all the script consumption that you're doing, do you have a preference for long form series or features? Do you find that the quality of writing that you're reading is different in those, or does it really matter to you? Just if good is good?
Yeah, it really, I'm working on the more scripted television side simply because, Buck has an illustrious career with features. And so, we're really kind of quite ingrained in that process already and kind of have our focuses for that. Whereas television, there's a little bit more room to play. I personally just love the medium of television, the format, the structure. So, I've really, really kind of like delved deep into that. But like you said, so succinctly, a good story is a good story. And so, you can hook me within 3 sentences. Like we're working on one project now with the fabulous Greg Lord, and literally is 3 sentences in, I was like, okay, I need to have a meeting with him and I need to, because I love it so much. And like, that's the power of words and that's the power of good writing. So I feel very lucky to, to get to experience people's joy and their creativity every single day. Like that's the best part of my job, is like getting to see a piece of someone before anyone else in the world gets to see it. And I think writing is a piece of you.
Fuck yeah. In regards to those 15-minute call blitzes, I'm curious how you structured them, because you only have 15 minutes with each person. You got to go back to back to back to back. Yeah, what was the experience like for you to like open and like start the conversation, get like touch on whatever was going on, and then leave after 50 minutes? It seems like a lot of quick. So I'm just curious how you structured those phone calls.
So basically, what I did, because I knew it was going to be an administrative nightmare, is I basically scheduled them all, reached out with a kind of a formatted email, and said, this is your window. If you want to switch, you'll have to post on the forum and get someone else to switch with you.
Right.
And let me know, send me an email and let me know with. I literally I gave a 30-second kind of, hey there, hope you're doing well. Call is, and I put it on, this call is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you want with it. I said, I'm happy to launch into, what I do or whatever, but if you want to use this time to pitch, please feel free to pitch. If you want to use this time to, ask for advice. And I really had a mix. Like I had some, emerging filmmakers who just wanted advice on how to get their foot in the door and be memorable. And then I also had some advice on, I also had people that said, I want to pitch you. And got me interested. And then from there I read their 5 pages and then made sure that I was, like fully immersed in that. And then, from there read pilots and, had further conversations.
Well, natural segue from there is something very important about what we do at Buck Productions, which is accepting pitches and how to get in contact with us, the types of projects we're looking for, and what our process is for development. So I was wondering if, as our head of scripted development, if you don't mind just going into that a little bit.
Yeah. So, Buck really kind of does have an open door policy in that, we want to share in people's enthusiasms for great ideas. So, I will never turn down an email. I don't, love to broadcast my email address, but, if it's something that you feel passionate about, I would encourage you to look at Buck's website, sure that, you've done your research, and that what we do as a team is something that you feel you can bring to the table. And then from there, I would say a personalized reach out, it speaks for miles for me, when someone reaches out and says, "Hey, Emma, I really liked this, and this that you did. I've got this, piece, log line, whatever, that I think would be perfect for Buck because," and then from there, I will 100% always respond. Um, and I will be transparent. I'll say, look, I've got something else like this in development. Or, I will say this is, something that I would love to talk further about. And usually I would set up a call, or I would ask for a 5-page treatment, because that to me seems to be 5 pages. You can really tell what someone, what someone is thinking and feeling, and tonally what something looks like. I would encourage any upcoming or emerging, or even any filmmaker that is interested in pitching Buck, to really hone in on that 5-page, treatment, and make sure they know what it is. And sometimes, it's not a writing sample. Sometimes it's 5. I'll just say choose 5 pages of a deck, send that off. And from there, I always give feedback. I pride myself on giving feedback of everything I look at. With those 5-page treatments that I did, I responded to every single person. And if you haven't heard from me, and you're on here, feel free to send me a reminder. I believe I've gotten through everyone now of the 100. But I always like to give feedback, because that's my favorite part of the process, is the notes. And the biggest compliment someone can give to me is the compliment of, "Oh, I didn't think of that," or, "Oh, that's a really great thing to consider. You just upped the stakes of my script." Like, that's the best compliment someone can give me. And, the way I kind of differentiate, for those of you who are not in the television, world, the way I differentiate development from production is, a producer looks at something and says, "How can I make this?" Whereas someone that's in development looks at something and says, "How can I make it better?"
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the better word, is a clear differentiation. Development is about getting something to the best place possible to be able to sell it, to a network. And, production is very much, it's once the unicorn has already been birthed, production takes the finish line. But development is a unicorn. It's an idea, and you're making literally something from nothing. And it's so fascinating to me that, something lives or dies by Jimmy, Maddie, Irene, Sean, Michelle's ability to sell it, and that's what's so cool about my job. We take something that didn't exist before, and we sell it, and then it's on people's screens across the world. Like, how friggin' cool is that?
Easy next question. What are you currently working on developing?
Oh man, I think more of the question is, what are we not working on developing?
Right.
I think, but that's not to say that we're not selective, because we are absolutely selective. We don't take on projects if we don't think that, we can A, focus the attention, B, feel like we have the wherewithal to actually bring it to fruition. And we never want our projects to compete with one another. So sometimes I'll find a project that I really love, and I'll say, I'll say to people, or to the writer or director, I'll say, I really like this, but the timing is not right for us. We're just currently in pitching this project that's very similar to yours. So come back to me in 6 months. And they do, Jade, and they do. And I've had projects where I've signed them after that.
Okay. That's okay. Okay. In regards to articulating yourselves in different content formats and being a bit of a Swiss Army knife, I'm curious, how do you keep yourself versatile while at the same time really dialing in to each type of content? You know what I mean? With Buck being a diverse content portfolio with many different silos.
Yeah, so I think the key in that, and I kind of touched upon that earlier, is that, content is a great idea is, the foundation of anything. And I think makes my, hybrid, hybrid career path interesting for me is that I never treat a scripted character differently than I treat a talent that's in the unscripted space. To me, they malleable. They're both, shapeable, essentially. And I mean shapeable in the most loved way, in a way that, champions success. I want to champion inauthentic people, and make something they're not. That's certainly not the case. But, I treat my unscripted talent in the same way that I treat my characters. And it's, you love them unconditionally, you give them feedback, and you give them the notes that they need to be their best selves. So I don't have trouble. Like, I don't have like a scripted day and then an unscripted day. Like, I literally can switch from one script to an unscripted talent like right away, because to me it's all people that I love and people that I work with. So I just treat them all, and I compartmentalize. Okay, like this is this character who is a scripted character, but the writer who I know and love, I'm giving them notes on this character so that this character has higher stakes. And then when I go to the unscripted project, I'm saying to that person, I love the way that you said this, but could you make that a little bit more concise so we can really include more in your reading?
Great answer. Inside the developer's mind, transition, the process, the structure, time management, defining your developing style and the way you work with others. I guess I'm just curious about what are some ways about like what you bring, I guess, just as a person to when somebody pitches you, but also on the other side of how you pitch after that and where you bring the pitch to as well.
Yeah, so I think there's like a lot of stuff to unpack there. Kind of my rule of thumb is, treat people with kindness. And that plays into everything I do in development, simply because, deep question, Jade is right. I think that is my biggest advice to going into this industry, whether it's development or production, is, treat everyone with kindness, because the person that's getting your coffee today is the person that becomes an assistant at a network, who then becomes the assistant to the president, who then eventually themselves becomes the SVP. And, I think that that's the most important thing is, people will remember when you're kind to them and you're nice to them and you give them the time and you make them feel special. But equally important, they remember people that are mean to them. So I would say that, I've had, the modicum of success I've had in my career because of the fact that people remembered that I was kind, that I never was above any task. I started off at the very, very bottom of the barrel, and, but no task was too small for me. I literally would get coffee for anyone. I would take out the trash, anything that needed to be done, I would do it with enthusiasm. And I can guarantee if you do what you do with enthusiasm, wherever you are on the totem pole, you will succeed and move up the ladder on that.
Great tip. I'm going to glean that one for one of our Tuesday tips. Okay, I think it's time to we're at the halfway mark. I think take a rewind, a pause, a moment of reflection, and back to the start for you and the building blocks of what made your career what it is now, how you built your career. So I guess just to start, how did you get into the film industry or the entertainment industry broadly? And how has this career been a great outlet for you to help with your own self-expression, collaboration, all the facets that come with this type of career?
Cool. Okay. I did write notes just so that I could be nice and brief for you. So started out at 16 years old at Marble Media, which is a fabulous kids production company. I was in distribution there as a distribution assistant. So I'd like pick selects and things like that. That was my first kind of foray into the industry, my first big girl job in Toronto. would take the GO train in at 5 a.m. every morning, arrive at 6, and, kind of open up the office in Liberty Village, which was like so cool, such a foreign place to me. And I went away to university to Queens, thought I wanted to be a entertainment lawyer, kind of got into the like, oh, that would involve an additional 4 years of school. So I was like, I don't think I'm going to do that. And I came back to Toronto, and that summer I got a job at 9 Story, which is another fabulous kids distribution and production company. They do fabulous shows. So got another foray adventure into that. Then I decided I wanted to be an actress. And, I thought to myself, this is going to be easy. I had been a child actress. So I was always aware of the television world and kind of how it worked. And I was an actress up until about 11 or 12, and did Sharon Lois and Bram for many years. And it was a super fun experience. And, I did have a little bit of acting. I was the lead in Emmanuel Shrinian's feature with Michael Cohen called It Was You, Charlie, which you can still rent on iTunes. Go support Canadian indie film and make some money. Make them money. And then I didn't ever hear the phone ring again for any acting gigs. And, even though it had like a lovely debut at the Lightbox and stuff, and I thought, oh my gosh, like what is wrong with me is literally what I thought. And I really kind of got really sad about it. And I thought, how do I channel this into, as my mom would say, true aggression? And the answer to that was, well, I need to be in charge of a production. Like, it was just kind of like in my mind, like I was like, well, that's the path. And I didn't know how to get there. I had no idea, but I was like, I'm gonna get there. And so I called up an old family friend and I said, are you looking for a PA, an office PA, like an office assistant? And he was like, yeah, I am, sure. So I started at this fabulous production company called General Purpose Entertainment. And it was literally my foray into like production and the production world. And they had real shows going on at the time. And I was, doing runs for the shows and, doing the filing and all that. And they had it was a show called Undercover High. And they were having a lot of trouble getting, schools to come on board. And essentially I said, you don't have to pay me for that role, but let me be your office PA, but let me in my free time use my connections and, try to get schools on board. And so I did. And the next year we got a season 2 and they brought me on as the casting producer. And that was kind of like, I went from office PA to a casting producer. That was a pretty big jump, but I'd proven myself and, put in the groundwork for that. And that was a success. And then from there, I started to work under Josie Creamy, who was at the time of development there. And that was my first time that I was like, development? You mean people, their whole job is to create shows? Like, what? My mind was blown. And that's when I really felt like I had hit my stride. And I was like, oh my God, I can pitch to all these places and there's no rules. And it's just like, the wild, wild west. I can literally think of something and have it be a show idea, and not necessarily a good one. But one that's certainly, could be made in theory.
Right.
And so from there, there was an opportunity at RTR Media, which is, where I got my education in development, I call it. And they're a premier unscripted company, specifically in the home, food, and travel space. And I just remember being like, that's it, unscripted, food, home, and travel. That is what I love. And so I started to find talent, and that's layman's term for those of you that are not in the industry. A talent is somebody that is like a host of a show. So I would find, the talents on Instagram. It's how I met Jeff, my husband. Found his Instagram and, started to do a Skype, and one thing led to another. Yes, RTR provided a soulmate. Yes, that's right, Jeffy. And, that was what I call my education and development. I learned the nuances, the ins and outs. And they were so supportive for me as I ran a scripted production company with 2 fabulous producers on the side called Babe Nation. And And so I got to work all day in unscripted, and then I got to do my passion project, which was Babe Nation. And from there, I realized that I wanted more of an education in scripted. So I applied to the CFC, and the CFC, God love them, let me in. I know you're probably going to ask about that later, but to keep it brief, I'll just say the CFC was phenomenal. I highly recommend it to anyone who's emerging. And just like a tip that emerging and established, but a little tip that, had I known sooner, would have been really helpful, which is, they are constantly calling for volunteers to work on the sets. If you have an interest in being going to the CFC, volunteer for a position on their sets. You don't have to have huge amounts of experience. You just have to be passionate, happy. From there, they get to know you, and then you apply, and they already know you. You're a familiar face, so when you go in the interview, you know people. That would be my tip for CFC, because I've had a couple people ask about it. And then from the CFC, so RTR was so lovely to let me go and do this for 6 months intensive, and that was a fabulous education. And in that time, I also was working at New Metric Media on Letterkenny at the time, which was, who doesn't know Letterkenny now? And it was super cool because I was in the office with the Letterkenny crew, and like we shared an office with Schitt's Creek season 1. So it was like mind blowing for me that I got the opportunity to hear and see the producers of these 2 major, iconic television shows. And then finally, when the CFC was done, the CFC is where I met Sean, so it came full circle. And I just was floored by Sean's business model, because I had never met someone who had successfully been able to produce scripted and unscripted. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is where I'm supposed to be, like a literal hybrid of the 2 people, of my 2 passions. So I actually pitched Sean. There was no Sean Buckley, the CEO of Buck Productions, just for you who don't know who Sean is, iconic figure in the industry. And I went and I pitched him, and I said, you need a hybrid person. You need someone that can bounce from scripted to unscripted. And he was like, interesting proposition. And then he had me meet Jimmy Juice, who is like the world's best collaborator. And we met for the first time. And I think like after the first time, we were like kind of like dancing, and we were like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to get hired, I hope. And sure enough, I got the call, and Sean was like, yeah, let's do this. And literally it has been the best experience, I could have imagined, as far as, who I work with on the day to day, the energy, just the ability, what I love about what Sean, the corporate culture that he has, kind of allowed for within the confines of, Buck, is that it's egoless. No one's above any task. Like literally, Maddie can send me, Matthew can send me a pitch, and, I'll give him notes on that. And then he sends it, to Jimmy, and Jimmy looks at it too. And then, Jimmy will ask me for something, or Remy, we really are a family in that way. And it's like no one's project. It's our project. And we have, the ability to treat those projects and our own little department as our own mini shop. Like I see scripted as my own mini shop. And, I know we all take such pride in the not only the team, but in what we produce as a team, that it's honestly the most positive work experience I've ever had. And I'm not saying I currently work there. It's just like, that's what keeps me coming every day. That's what keeps me going, is the fact that I get to hop on these Zoom calls. I used to be in office, but, I get to hop on these Zoom calls and be like, so fun, so great, so. And
It's a vibe. It's a vibe. It seems like it's a vibe. It's definitely a vibe.
It's a vibe.
I think it's a hashtag. We should start the Buck vibe. Buck vibe.
Buck vibe.
Yeah, I mean, Buck Originals, Buck vibe, Buck fam, Buck live, Buck vibe. Well, I think we should get into a pretty serious project very serious matter indeed. No, it's a comedy. 40-year-old property virgin,
Cool.
and going into, I guess, how that concept came to you, how you got it made, working with a massive network like HGTV, and yeah, just what you've gleaned from the process of getting that show made.
Well, it's very kind of you to give me credit. It was not just me, it was the entire Buck team. HGTV was at the time and still is, very much my wheelhouse. So we floated a bunch of my first day on the job, and Sean was like, this is just speaks to Sean and the trust he has in people, and Jimmy, he was like, okay, so your first day, uh, we're going to fly out to New York and you're going to meet with the heads of all these networks, and we're going to go in and we're just going to pitch things. And I'm like, okay. And I had never been in a pitching situation before. I often was responsible for finding the talent, and Sean just literally threw me in the deep end and was like, with Jimmy and him, both of them were there to support, and we obviously went as a team. But he was just like, yeah, we're gonna go meet with the networks right now, and we're just gonna pitch. And I'm like, okay. So luckily, I'd been fully immersed in the HGTV world, and I kind of had log lines that I'd written out, and I casually mentioned something like, how I know at one point you were looking for people in the space that were kind of failure to launch, or the idea that they have yet to buy a home yet.
Right.
And I will give credit. I think we can all attest that it was Lauren Roosh who said, oh, like a 40-year-old property virgin. And we were like, dun, dun, dun. There.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like, yes, 40-year-old property virgin. He's like, yeah, write it up. Let's see it. So we wrote it up. And then a few weeks later, they gave us some money for development to shoot a proof of concept. And proof of concept is interesting because it was so reliant on casting. And casting, somebody who's 40 years old, who's actually ready and has the funds to move out, who wants to move out, and that's in the search, but also aspirational enough that you see the logic and reasoning as to why they haven't moved out up until this point.
Right.
It was a casting challenge. So
Yeah.
we we kind of had searched for several weeks, and it was getting down to the wire to kind of watch, to kind of shoot it. And I reached out to a fabulous entrepreneur. Her name's Danielle Cabral. I don't know if she's watching right now, but she's amazing and a great content creator herself.
Shout out.
I said to her, I said, do you know anybody that meets this? And she goes, honey, you got to meet my friend Vinny. And I was like, I'm in. And sure enough, I get on the phone with Vinny. We were there 2 weeks later filming. He was the best kind of you would have thought he was born for TV. He just had that face. Hi, Dad and Mom. Glad you could join. He just had that face that was just so expressive. You never had to direct him. He just said all the right things. And so it was fabulous. James Villeneuve directed, and I was on set producing, and he got some fabulous content. We brought it back. The team gave notes. We sent it in, and HG loved it. They just loved it, and they just thought the cinematic style was so cool. And from there, we got our green light, and we shot that series, and we're so proud of it. And to this day, HGTV has been a fabulous champion, a fabulous partner for us. We're working with them in other capacities, and it's just a show we're really proud of. And if you haven't checked it out, check it out on D+. You can get it free 7-day trial if you're not fully wanting to commit. But let me tell you, D+ is an awesome platform. You can watch all your favorite History Channel shows. It's just really, really fun. And it's called 40-Year-Old Property Virgin. And it is it's a really, really cool show, and we're super proud of it. So please do check it out and send some love to it.
Maybe just a quick shout out to Greg Donis and Tommy Chenoweth.
Yes.
Both. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you to those guys. They are fabulous, and really, carried out the vision, from the outset, from proof of concept. They really took that and ran with it. And so we're super, super grateful for them, and their Buck fam, and do lots of stuff with us.
All right, this next question is for everybody who's watching who wants to potentially pitch Emma. This is the question you'll want the answer to. So, what are the kinds of stories you're most passionate about telling? I know in your bio you said like out of the box. So I'm kind of curious about what do you define as that? And yeah, what sort of stories do you look for?
So I'm very, very enticed by an interesting point of view, and that can be a character, that can be a trope. Scenes from a marriage, I think, has really revolutionized, the way we look at television and our ability to kind of come in and out of a scene. Um, and how the actors interact with the things around them. It's fascinating. I think for me, a really prolific series at the time and still really reigns through to me, is The Affair. Just our ability to kind of shape memory. I thought that was so cool that they would each remember something different, and he'd remember her wearing a pink cardigan and vice versa. Like, was revolutionary for me. I love anything that plays with time,
Hmm.
and plays with time effectively. When I think like Big Little Lies and the use of the flashback, Sharp Objects, same thing. And I'd be remiss not to say that I love something that really, a really well written female character. That's not to say you can't have a really great, well written male character, but when a woman is encapsulated in a realistic way that's messy and it goes against all of the stereotypes that we so commonly used to see in television. It's not so much anymore. There's really been a concerted effort to make sure that there's some fabulous female characters, but certainly I'm a sucker for a great female character. um, and anything that, I really do love a dark family drama. We've
Okay.
our docket right now. You guys know who you are. And so, ones that paint a realistic picture of conflict within family, because I think, especially right now with where the world is, it's a strife environment for conflict. And I think, people that tell those pieces of their family history or their stories in a script, I always find those to be really fascinating.
Hope everybody was writing that down. In regards to like the work-life balance and how you find it being a new mother, understanding the all-encompassing aspect of sacrifice and what that means. I mean, it's just kind of like it goes without saying. It's so much work. So I just kind of want to just transition to that for a moment and just talk about, I guess, what it's taken for you and maybe some tips for young mothers out there as well who are trying to balance, a career that, a really like type A, like go for it type of career with having children and that whole balance, which is what that takes.
Love it. One thing I will say before I move on from what we're looking for at Buck,
Okay?
whenever you're pitching me, and anyone that did the blitz with me got like the email spiel about it, but when you reach out, and I'm happy to take pitches, always, like I said, be able to answer why this story, why now. It's such an important question, and it's the first thing that a network asks. So know why you're telling your story and be able to tell me why you're telling that story.
The what is your intention question.
Yeah, yeah. So
Like,
what is the story accomplishing is really important. To talk about work-life balance, it was an adjustment. But the clearest, most valuable thing I did is set boundaries. So clear. I'm available for calls from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. EST. And even when I did my blitzes, I made that window 8 to 4. And I had some people being like, "Oh, I can't do it until nighttime." I'm really sorry. Can you do it on your lunch break? Because that time, that I have so few years with Bruce, and I have so little time, where he's this little baby, and not spending time with him is not an option. And I'm so lucky that at Buck, Sean and Jim and all our team are family oriented, and they understand, you know, the importance of me being a good mom makes me be better at my job because I'm feeling fulfilled in my home life. I can feel fulfilled in my work life, and I don't have to feel guilty about going to work because when I'm at home with my son, I'm there and I'm focused. So, so yeah, I think that um, setting clear boundaries and being transparent with someone, you know, like, you know, Bruce had a doctor's appointment today, and I said, look, I have to take Bruce to the doctor's today. And Sean and Jim were like, got it, cool. And even, you know, he got vaccines, and, you know, I was on a call, and said to the people on the call, I said, you know, my son's asleep in my lap right now. He's not feeling good. And it was a bunch of women, and they were like, honey, I was there like 2 years ago. Like, I know that feeling. And, you know, and I think that that's super, you know, cool that motherhood ties us all together. Jimmy's asking a question. What is the difference of developing and then developing and being a part of a pitch in the room? It's a really developing is an art in itself, but developing in a pitch room is the energy is like it pulses through your body, and that's how you know that you love development. Is that like when I'm in a development pitch meeting, I light up because, you know, I feed off the people in the room. You know, I'm usually pitching with Jimmy or Maddie, and I just feel their energy, their passion. And it's just kind of like a building block. Like you just build one after the other, and, you know, you volley it to each other. It's kind of like this amazing dance where you're like, you're doing a little bit of a waltz, and then all of a sudden it like speeds up to a hip hop dance, and you're like, okay, they're into this. Okay, Jimmy, go, you go. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to go. And, you know, and that's a very different thing than being in a room where you're developing something, to eventually pitch, which is a little bit more collaborative. You know, it's a lot of bouncing ideas back and forth. And, you know, there's definitely some more like isolating elements to that. Like you're just at a computer writing. So I hope that answers that question.
Yeah, that was a boom of a question, Jimmy Juice.
Boom.
Thank you for that one. Next question is a little bit more, just it doesn't really have too much to do with development, but it's just sometimes this industry can take a serious toll on mental health. And I'm just curious what strategies you employ to build solid team chemistry, but also a support system for yourself and others to survive in this somewhat chaotic entertainment landscape.
In development, you have to love the no. And that's something that one of my mentors from RTR told me really early on. She said, you have to love the no, because you will get the no a million times more than you get the yes. And that's not, it's not a testament to the quality of your work or anything like that. It's just the reality of there's only so much money to go around and so many networks to pitch to. So very early on, I kind of treated the no as like the first yes. And I was like, okay, so now my job as a developer is to take this no, and how do I make that a yes? And, you know, is it changing the lead character? Is it, you know, setting it in a different time period? You know, I'm just making that up as I go. But, you know, making sure that at the end of the day, as long as I got that no, but I exhausted every avenue, then I can live with that no. And so that's been pivotal to my mental health, because I realize I can't take it personally. You know, it's not a reflection of me and who I am as a person or for the project. As long as in my heart of hearts I can say I did everything I possibly could to make this great and to sell this, then I walk away okay. As far as other kind of things for team camaraderie, we kind of have this idea in the office, and I applied in my personal life too, but it's yes and. So it's like Jimmy pitches an idea, yes and. Like how can I add to that idea to not only show support to Jimmy or Matthew or Remy or Sean, but how do I add something that's my flair to that? So we really kind of champion each other's ideas, and that creates a great camaraderie. As far as other things to protect mental health, like I said, boundaries, making sure that you really do get that work-life balance. And I'm a proponent for therapy. I think that therapy and having someone that you can talk to that has no bias and is just, there to listen,
Mm-hmm.
extremely important. I think it really, that sounding board is key. And I'm also a lover of meditation. And for me, working out. Like if I can work out in the morning and, I send a big shout out to my husband who supports that passion that I have for working out. But if I can get a workout in, it sets the tone for my entire day. It's one thing off my to-do list and it sets the tone. I've had a great day.
Well, there's not too much time left, so I guess I should give you the floor to make any shout outs that you'd like to make, and also any other things you want to say. I mean, it's been a wonderful live stream with you, Emma, and super stoked to add this to our live stream resource collection of stuff that people can go and watch and hopefully get some tips and help them with their careers.
Awesome. You know what? I'll leave you on a piece of advice that I received in grade 12 from famed Canadian comedian Jessica Holmes, home show. And she said, don't seek validation from people who don't share your values. And let that sink in for a second. But that was probably one of the most prolific pieces of advice I ever received. And because if we seek validation from people that don't believe the things that we believe, we'll never get what we're looking for.
Right.
So I think especially when you are a writer or filmmaker or director and you have a belief in something, surround yourself with people that believe in you and believe in what you're bringing to the table. Don't try to make something so malleable and bend it so that it snaps, because you may not be one person's cup of tea, but you're someone else's cup of tea. And honor that part of what you bring to the table and your journey, because that's what makes you uniquely you. And I know it's silly and corny, but Dr. Seuss, adding to the values quote, those who mind don't matter and those who matter don't mind. And I really, implore people to think like what matters to you and surround yourself with people who believe in that as well. Don't go out there on a limb and try to change who you are, because you will find the like-minded people. And speaking of shout outs, the like-minded people are the people I work with at Buck. My family who's all watching there, my mom and dad, and of course my amazing husband and my baby who is asleep. Woo woo! And thank you to you, Jade, for the insightful questions and just being such a awesome advocate for our social. And we're so happy and thrilled to have you as a part of our team. And yeah, shout out to all you out there who are hustling, trying to get things made, pursuing things when it feels really hard, especially right now. Keep going. You're worth it. And yeah, I'm sending you all love and light during this really fascinating, interesting time in our collective history. So take care of yourself.
Thank you so much, Emma Fleury Harvey, and thank you very much to Jeff Harvey for your consistent engagement throughout this entire live stream. I've been side grinning this entire time with all of your wonderful comments. So thank you, sir. Have a wonderful night, Emma. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for joining in, everyone, and feel free, because you're on here, efleury@buckproductions.com if you want to pitch something. Okay, I'm giving you permission, but just please send me a log line first. Okay, have a good one.
Skip to the end for the email, y'all.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks everybody for joining our. Well, I'm going to sign off now, but just wanted to say thank you, Emma, and thank you everybody who joined our Buck Live tonight. It was awesome, great engagement, great questions. Yeah, just have a great rest of your week. Looking forward to next week's live stream. Going to be releasing who that is on Friday, so stay tuned for that.